Dobre, ideme na to, začíname. Dneska máme 1006. 1006. relaxačný tréningový deň. Takže ideme na to, začíname. Je piatok, 21.8.2026. Začíname 1006. relaxačný tréningový deň. Máme 5 sérií klikožoutov, 100, 90, 80, 70, 60 klikstehov a do toho 4 série po 20 z hybožrutov. 20 repožrutov, takže dokopy 80 repožrutov. Teď začíname prvá séria 100 klikožrutov, 100 klikstehov. Pustíme si tohto píčica ako podmas, čo povie.
One meal a day isn't actually healthy for you. We're talking about no breakfast, no lunch, no snacks at all, just a single eating window during the day where you eat everything in one go and then eat nothing at all until tomorrow. There is an increasing number of people on YouTube promoting this way of eating to an increasing number of people. And I've got to say, it is not the worst thing being pushed out there at the moment. As a general rule, the less we eat compared to the typical Western diet, and the less often, the better for us. But very few of the people promoting it actually go into the science behind it. They talk about the fat loss with no calorie counting. They talk about a switched on metabolism and all of that sort of jazz. So today I want to ask the question that these other people tend to skip over. Is eating just one meal a day actually healthy, or is it just extreme for the sake of it? Welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. Alex. I've worked in emergency medicine for a decade, and now I'm on a mission to teach you everything I know to help you prevent the diseases that I see in the A&E every single day. And if you want to support what I'm doing here, then the best thing that you can do is subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also give it a hype if you learn something today. All of those things are completely free, and it helps me out so much. So where does this one meal a day actually sit, and what is it doing to your body? Well, the easiest way to picture this is as a dial, and the dial controls one thing: how long you go without food before you eat again. Pretty simple. So if you turn the dial all the way down, then you are barely fasting at all. You are eating all the time. You're grazing from breakfast all the way through to your late night snack or your supper before you go to bed. This is where most people tend to live in Western culture. If you turn that dial up a bit, then you reach the part where my wife and I, Steph, usually sit, leaving around 14 to 16 hours overnight with nothing. That is our sort of fasting window.
Ideme na to.
Finish dinner at around
80 repožrutov, teda 20 repožrutov, 20 restov, prvá séria.
until say 8 or 9 in the morning. In that window, your body quietly works through its stored sugar called glycogen, and it starts dipping a bit into fat burning, a light brush with ketosis rather than the full-blown keto diet. It is pretty easy, it's pretty mild, and you barely notice it. One meal a day is that same dial turned all the way to the top. You fast for around 23 hours a day, and then you cram everything in to a single hour. The further you turn that dial, the longer your body spends in this fasted fat-burning state, which is what people are attracted to, which is why people do it. And to answer a question I get quite a lot, yes, a fast that long, 23 hours, you know, your insulin really does get a chance to fall right back down to baseline and stay there for most of the day, which is a big part of the appeal, because low insulin means more fat burning. But hold on to that thought for a second, because the flip side of all of that fasting is one enormous meal, and that turns out to matter quite a lot. So let me be fair and start with what one meal a day genuinely has going for it. What are the good things behind this? Because it is not all nonsense. There is a lot of sort of good science behind it. The first thing is simplicity. There is no counting, there is no portioning, there is no deciding what to have for your lunch, because you only eat one meal a day. The second thing is that For most people, without even trying, these people end up eating less on this way of eating, simply because it is very hard, obviously, to fit a whole day's worth of food into just one sitting. That drop in calories is why people lose weight on it. And the third thing is time. You get back all of the hours that you would otherwise spend shopping and preparing and eating across the day. So for a really busy person, that is a real advantage. But notice something.
Io nato
It is not coming from any magic in the fasting itself.
90 klikov žltou.
From the fact that you
90 kliksterov zase.
notice something about that weight loss with this style of eating. That weight loss is not coming from the magic of the food or the quality of the food. It's coming from the simple fact that you are eating less food. So the weight loss for some people is brilliant if you have weight to lose. But what happens once you've already reached a healthy weight and your body actually needs a full day's worth of energy? Now you have to get all of those calories into a single sitting. And that is really hard to do and do it well. I've tried this before and I really struggled. Just think about it, you could hit your target really easily with a day's worth of pizza and sandwiches and chocolate in one go, because ultra-processed food is engineered to pack huge numbers of calories into small, easy-to-eat amounts. But try doing that with natural, whole Mediterranean-style food like vegetables and fish and beans and olive oil. That is an enormous volume of food to get through in 1 hour, far more than most people can comfortably eat. Most people can eat 2,000 calories worth of ultra-processed food in an hour. That is a few chocolate bars and a couple of sandwiches. But you couldn't eat 2,000 calories worth of whole food because there's just so much of it. So something has to give. Either the quality drops and you drift towards calorie-dense processed food just to hit your needs, or the quantity stays too low and you end up stuck in this permanent calorie deficit, slowly under-eating and potentially losing even more weight. Neither of those are what I would call healthy. Now, I guess if I'm being fair,
Ideme na to.
the good point about
Druhá séria.
is that
20 repov žlto, 20 repov.
if you're somebody that grazes throughout the day, you physically cannot stuff the kind of slow surplus that creeps on over a whole day of grazing and snacking into just 1 hour. So for somebody who tends to pick all day long, that single window could act as a natural break. But for most people, over the long run, the calorie squeeze pulls you towards either worse food or too little of it. So what does the science actually show when you look at it properly? This is where it gets really interesting, because being more extreme, obviously, as we're cottoning on to this day and age, this doesn't automatically mean being healthier. So let's start with the big question. Does the fasting itself do anything special, or is it simply just about eating less? Well, we have good data on this now. In a year-long study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers put around 140 people on a calorie-controlled diet and gave half of them a tight fasting eating window on top. After 12 months, the fasting group did no better at all. They all lost the same weight and the same fat, and ended up with the same blood pressure and blood sugar as the people simply cutting calories in the normal way, but eating regularly throughout the day. A separate trial of around 116 people.
Ideme na to, tretia séria, klikov žltou.
So when you test this
80 klikov žltou, 80 kliksterov.
properly, it almost vanishes. It works because it makes you eat less, and that is the whole trick here. Then we've got the issue closest to my heart on this channel, which is your muscle. In one of those trials, a large chunk of the weight that people lost while fasting wasn't actually fat at all, it was lean muscle. And that finding actually fits with everything that we know about how muscle is built, which relies on a steady supply of protein spread across the day rather than one big hit, something that a single day meal makes very hard to do. As you get older, protecting your muscle becomes one of the most important things that you can possibly do. So losing your muscle with this way of eating is the exact opposite of what you want. And then we've got the longer term signals here, and these are really, really important. So in a large study of over 24,000 people, those who ate just one meal a day had a higher risk of dying, including from heart disease, than those people who were eating 3 meals a day. Now, we've got to be completely honest about this study, because this study is what we call an observational study, which means it can show a link, but it cannot prove that the 1 meal a day was the cause of all of this. But it is a pretty big study, and it points in a pretty concerning direction. And a second large study found that the highest heart disease death rate was found in those people who crammed most of their food into just 1 or 2 meals a day. So the long-term picture is far from reassuring. And then finally, we've got another really interesting study.
Si má to 20 repov žilto, 20 rep z toho tretia séria.
And it fed people the exact same number of calories as either 1 meal or as 3 meals a day. Even calorie for calorie, the 1 meal group ended up handling their sugar worse, with higher fasting glucose and a poorer response when they had a meal. And their LDL cholesterol, the kind that sort of affects your arteries and increases your risk of heart attacks and strokes, that crept up as well. Now, obviously, it was only 15 people in this study, so we can't really lean on it too hard on its own, but it lines up really nicely with everything else that I've just mentioned, and it suggests that cramming everything into one giant meal is not the metabolic-free lunch that it is sold as. There is also the genuine question of timing here. If you're going to squeeze your eating into a very narrow window, the research leans towards earlier being better than later in the day, because your body handles food more efficiently in the morning and in the early afternoon, which is in line with your normal internal body clock. The trouble, though, is that almost everybody who does this 1 meal a day does it as 1 meal a day in the evening as their final meal of the day. And the reason for that is just ordinary human life. During the day, most people are busy and distracted with work, so it's easier to skip food while your mind is occupied. Your hunger then builds and builds, so by the evening, you are ravenous. And dinner is the meal that you can finally sit down for and, sit with your family, and has loads of social...
Keď si dáš raz denne o 12 na obed, tak si hladný, keď sa zobudíš. Asi hladný, keď ideš spať, ale asi hladný, keď sa zobudíš. Na to 4. séria. 70 klikstov, 70 klikožrutov, 70 klikstov.
Can push you into dangerously low sugar. Obviously, this goes without saying. So this is strictly a conversation for you and your doctor first, and I can't imagine any doctor recommending to you that this would be a good thing. It is also obviously not suitable for anybody that is pregnant or for anybody with a history of disordered eating or a difficult relationship with food. As always, this is just education, it's not personal advice. So if you're thinking of doing this, then just check with your doctor first. But here's the thing that matters most to me, and it has nothing to do with insulin or cholesterol. So 1 meal a day is massively restrictive. It goes against the very grain of being a human being. Eating is about far more than just fuel and calories. It is how we connect. It is breakfast with your kids. It is lunch with a colleague. It is dinner with your friends or your family.
Fuck off.
If you're doing 1 meal a day, then you can't...
There is no family. There are no friends.
It has to be planned around that single eating window, and you end up sitting there with a black coffee while everyone else around you shares their breakfast or their lunch. And that leads me on to...
Posledná séria.
that I judge every
4. séria drepa žlto, 4. séria drep stého.
I mean genuinely sustain this for the rest of your life. Because a way of eating, you go all in on 100% for 6 weeks, but then you abandon after that. This does nothing for your long-term health. And one meal a day teaches you nothing about how to actually eat well in the first place. So the moment real life gets in the way, and it always does, most people drift back to their old habits, and the weight just comes straight back with it. A good approach to food is one that you could happily still be following in 20 years' time, or when you're 80 or even 90. One meal a day, for the vast majority of people, unfortunately, is simply not that, and I don't recommend it to anybody. And there is a deeper point beneath all of this, which is really the heart of this video. If you are drawn to eating just once a day, it is almost always because you want something to change, like your weight, or your energy, or your health. But here's the thing, if your weight or your health is not where you want it to be, the underlying problem will almost never be you eating more than once a day. Far more often it is the quality of the food going in and the lifestyle
Čtvrtá séria trepožité za nami.
body and building some muscle and sleeping properly. So switching to just one meal a day, whilst leaving the actual food quality and the movement untouched, honestly, is not the answer that it looks like. You will have changed when you eat, yes, but none of the underlying causes of the problems that you're trying to fix, those are still there. So is this safe or healthy? Well, for an adult doing this for a very short period of time, I wouldn't say it's dangerous, and as a tool for a specific
Posledná 5. séria. Klikožouto. 60 klikožouto, 60 klikstov.
But honestly, it is not the health cheat code it is sold as. It is no better for your weight than simply eating a little less. This is what those research studies showed us that I mentioned earlier, and I'll put some links in the description below so you can take a read of those later. And it really does bring some real downsides for your muscle and your blood sugar and possibly your heart as well. And above all, it is brutally hard to live with for the next 20 or 50 years. And at the end of the day, here is the rule I keep coming back to. Anything that sounds this extreme probably isn't good for you. And even when there is something to it, there is almost always a better, much gentler way to get the same result. So for me, that way is pretty simple. So I eat 3 proper meals a day, usually inside
Máš za to peniaze. Ale si sám zobraný, ja som chudobný. Som rád, že mám jedno jedlo denne, jeden mákovník denne jedlo. Dobre. Je to za nami. 1006. Ako dneska tie trepožuty už išlo oveľa ľahšie. Takže prvé 2 dní trepožuto boli brutálne, ale dneska to už bolo veľa lepšie. Dneska tie trepožuty už sú veľa lepšie, už sa nohy do toho dostávajú. Takže boli to 2 brutálne dni trepožrutov, ale dneska už je cítiť, že už sa to veľa lepšie. Svaly bolia, ale už to ľahšie odsypať, už to nie je také brutálne. Dobre, takže je to za nami. Zrekapitulujme to. 1006. 1006. relaxačný tréningový deň za nami. Bol piatok 21.8.2026. Skončili sme 17:00. 7 bol extrémne dlhý čas, trval 19 minút a 15 sekúnd. 19:15. Tak zatiaľ držíme sa.